tonight. The Saskatoon private school connected to abuse allegations has changed its name once again. Also, 50 years later, the RCMP's first all-female cadet class is reuniting in Regina. Plus, a special celebration for the Saskatoon man who co-founded a true senior men's hockey league.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Friday, September 13th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thank you for watching. We begin tonight in Saskatoon, where a private school connected to multiple allegations of abuse has changed its name again. But critics say little else has changed, and they want the government to shut the school down. Jason Warwick has the story.
I would love for that school to shut down. I would like for them, enough is enough. They've had their chance. They should just stop.
Quentin Pelche is talking about this school on Saskatoon's Pine House Drive. It was once called Christian Centre Academy. That name changed several years ago to Legacy Christian Academy. Starting this year, the school will now be known as Valour Academy. The school is at the center of an ongoing abuse scandal. Pelche says he and others were repeatedly beaten with large wooden paddles until he graduated in 2007. Dozens of other students have told CBC News they endured exorcisms, solitary confinement, and sexual abuse.
The name change is just the latest attempt in a long string of attempts by the school to cover up and ignore what was done and just pretend like nothing's wrong.
Dozens of students have filed a class action lawsuit, and criminal charges have been laid against at least 3 former staff. Pelche and another former student, Caitlin Erickson, want the provincial government to shut down the school, or at least take away its hundreds of thousands of dollars in annual public funding.
The ministry doesn't have the ability to regulate these places, or they just don't care and they don't want, So I don't know. It's very frustrating considering how much evidence we've presented. So it does seem now that the government's just okay with it. And, I don't think the general public is okay with it, though.
This social work professor says parents and the public deserve to know Valour Academy's history.
The history of the abuse that's gone on, with the history of the discrimination that has gone on at Legacy Christian Academy and others, it's beyond me as to why they have allowed them to change their name to try and whitewash their history. It's not going to do it.
No one from Valour Academy could be reached for comment. A provincial government spokesperson said they're aware of the name change and the school remains under probation. The lawsuit is continuing with 2 days of testimony set for January. Jason Warwick, CBC News, Saskatoon.
With an election looming, the Saskatchewan NDP are out on the campaign trail today, drawing attention to the number of healthcare blackouts in the province. The NDP says it got the last 5 years of data through a Freedom of Information request that did exclude Regina and Saskatoon. The NDP say there have been more than 200,000 hours of blackouts at health facilities between August of 2019 and May of this year. The town of Herbert had the most, with 971 days total. The NDP says a nursing task force is needed and retention in rural areas will be key in their plans.
Who's going to move their family or their partner to a small town when all you're being offered is a casual or part-time position? This is a major issue. We've heard this across the board, across the province, and so that would certainly be one of our key initiatives, is making these full-time permanent positions so that people can actually have a life in these communities and want to stay.
The NDP says another issue is retaining and recruiting family doctors. In a statement, the government says filling vacant positions in health services is a high priority and that more than 1,700 healthcare workers have been hired in rural and regional communities since its Health Human Resources Action Plan was announced in the fall of 2022. Regina's Overdose Outreach team offered free naloxone kits to people and hot dogs this afternoon. It was an effort to draw people in to learn more about the team. The team is part of a pilot project, one hoping to help people who've overdosed not overdose again.
Our hope's that it does stick around longer and we can keep helping people. As it was mentioned in our speech, it's currently a pilot project that's funded to the end of March 2025. So we would like to see it go permanent. We will see what happens. We're helping lots of people, so as long as we're helping people, we're happy.
The team wasn't just handing out naloxone kits. Full demos were provided so people learned how to use them before taking home a kit. Saskatchewan's fatal overdose numbers have been increasing, with near record high 397 deaths recorded in 2023. So far, from January to July 31st of this year, there have been 110 drug toxicity deaths and 119 suspected. The fix for a sinkhole in Wascana Park area could be much more expensive than originally expected. Regina City administration believes it could take $15 million to permanently fix a sinkhole and the collapsed stormwater pipe that caused it. The pipe dates back to the 1940s and was about 2 meters in diameter. It collapsed last year and opened a sinkhole in the backyard of a family living on the other side of the Albert Street Bridge. A temporary fix cost the city about $1.5 million, but during an audit and a finance committee meeting earlier this week, administration revealed a permanent fix could cost about 10 times that. These are anxious times for people booked on Air Canada flights over the next few days. A looming strike or lockout could start causing disruptions. The airline says it's preparing to implement a contingency plan for stopping operations over 3 days. So starting Sunday, the airline and pilots will be able to issue a 72-hour notice of a strike or lockout. And that means operations could come to a full stop September 18th. Air Canada is asking the federal government to intervene to avoid a shutdown. Economists say Canada's economy stands to lose $98 million per day if there's a shutdown. It's been 50 years since the first group of women were sworn in as RCMP cadets. And this coming weekend, graduates of the class known as Troop 17 will come together in Regina. And Winnipeg women who helped break down barriers will be among those taking part. Josh Crabb reports.
This is me new on the job at the Winnipeg airport as an airport police person.
Carol Briggs looks back at photos and news clippings, marking a milestone for women with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Of course, it was a male-dominated area, but I just thought it might be really interesting work.
Briggs, who was between jobs, was among 32 women in the country who signed up to become RCMP officers nearly 50 years ago. They made up what's known as Troop 17, an all-female class of cadets. The women trained in Regina before graduating and beginning their careers in policing.
A lot of people refer to us as trailblazers, and it made the news quite a bit at the time, even starting with our training.
Briggs says they were given men's pants, which had to be tailored. Some of the women were given purses for their pistols instead of holsters like the men.
That's me there.
After working at the airport, Briggs went on to a job in intelligence.
There were times when we had to surveil motorcycle gangs, and that was a little scary, along with exciting.
Her wife, Gail Emlott, feels it's important to celebrate the group.
I don't think people realize that 50 years ago was the first troop, and that was, in terms of history, that's not a long time, you know, to allow women in.
According to the RCMP, approximately 1/5 of its members today are women. But historically, female officers have faced gender-based discrimination, harassment, and assault. More than $125 million was paid out to 2,300 members as part of a class action settlement, and a report called on the RCMP to address those issues in the workplace.
Some of them were unfortunate enough to work, I guess, with some men who weren't so accepting.
Long hours and overtime eventually wore on Briggs, and she left the RCMP.
I'm very grateful to have worked with all the women that I did in training, and I'm very proud of them all.
Their perseverance and contributions to the police force will be celebrated in Regina this coming weekend.
It's kind of hard to believe.
At a reunion, bringing together the group who helped pave the way for women in policing. Josh Crabb, CBC News, Winnipeg.
You can buy art in a gallery or a store, or in this case, a back alley. In Regina today from 2 till 8 p.m., the Back Alley Art Market just off Albert and 13th Avenue. It was arranged by and for artists who want to provide accessible space for artists at any age, or any stage rather, to sell and share their work. Hopefully the weather holds for them. Ethan will have the forecast for you after the break. Stay with us. Well, the temperatures may be dropping, but there is still time to plant some wildflowers in your garden. There's a native plant sale at the Royal Saskatchewan Museum in Regina this weekend, but we got a sneak peek, and here are the top wildflowers for your prairie garden.
They don't have to do a huge change in their garden if they just add a pot of the flowers, the native plants, if they just change a square meter. It's easier than it seems. This yellow monkey flower is one of my favorite plants. It's an annual, but still it's bloomed all summer. It keeps coming back over every year, you know, if you leave it. But that one has got so many bees coming to it, and we just tried it first last year. So it blooms all summer, you get lots of seeds, so that's why it's a favorite. The gaillardia here, and we have the seeds are used by the birds and the insects, and there's all kinds of bees. It's right in there with the sunflowers and asters for being one of the keystone species. Here's another one. It's got two different names. This little tiny one behind the pots. It used to be called clammy weed, like how's that for a name? And now it's called spider flower, I think. So there's the seeds. It's another annual, but look how it grows. I mean, it's such a nice plant to have, and it's well behaved. It's an annual. Right here is the actual goldenrod. To me, they look like little teddy bears, so that's why that's one of my favorites. And it's a keystone, and there's so many can use it. This one's called Rocky Mountain Bee Plant. It's another annual, but it's bloomed almost all summer, that one. So it just bloom after bloom after bloom, and when it warms up, you'll see all kinds of bees and butterflies on it. This Tradescantia spiderwort is what they call it. That's an S1 rare plant. So we got it ethically. It was ethically sourced to get the seeds. But we're trying in this bed to feature the plants that are in great danger of disappearing. Plus we're starting some things like sedges. They look like grass, but they're not. We're trying out some sedges. So these are well-behaved plants that would do really well in dry gardens. And most of these will do well in shady gardens too. So we're looking for the plants that gardeners really need, not just, oh, that's a cool plant, let's grow that one.
This weather update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz Regina, proud member of the Capital Automotive Group.
And our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now. In my defense, we talk way more about fire than flowers.
Well, that's true, especially this summer. But yes, again, we stress that no one should become a pyromaniac.
Or please no planting fires,
yes.
Just flowers.
Planting maniac, absolutely. We love that when you can plant flowers. But if you got flowers today, they definitely got a nice soaking of rain in parts of the province. We're still seeing that low pressure system churning its way through the province, kind of centered just north of Saskatoon. Bands of rain have been moving through even Regina the last little while here, and especially through northern Saskatchewan. A lot of us seeing that cloud cover too, and where we've been seeing the rain, you can really see it cooling down temperatures, only around 10 degrees in parts of the north. But then you go right up along the Manitoba border, and we've had some nice warm temperatures. Actually, Pelican Narrows, our warm spot today, getting to 25. Meanwhile, it's only 11 in Swift Current. And again, in Manitoba, they're seeing temperatures there near 30 degrees still in some spots. Winds have still been quite gusty as this system moves through as well. Over 60 at times, including in Regina and Yorkton today. That's beginning to start to move off into Manitoba, and this system is going to do the same thing. It's going to start to pull away here, and as it does so overnight tonight, we're actually going to get clearing through southern Saskatchewan. This whole thing kind of clears the skies southwest to northeast. I think northern Saskatchewan, though, especially the far north, in for a few more showers as we head into tomorrow, but even the Churchill region going to start to see some clearing in the afternoon. After a sunny morning in the southern half of the province, a little bit of increasing cloudiness through the day, but then things starting to clear out out as we get into Sunday. Another little patch of rain may be moving through the Churchill region early on Sunday, and then as we get through Sunday afternoon, that clears away and we're left with mostly sunny skies, especially through south and central. These clouds Monday may bring us a little bit of rain here and there. That's in anticipation of our next weather system in the middle of next week. But until then, again, it's mostly the far north where we could see another 10, maybe 15 millimeters, locally higher amounts in thunderstorms that may develop there, as we do have the atmosphere for that this evening. Winds tomorrow going to be kind of breezy at times, 30 to 40, but those are kind of starting to shift, as I say, into Manitoba, the strongest gusts anyway. And then by Sunday, look at that, nice sunshine, and winds are nice and light too. We have seen a little bit of forest fire haze in central Saskatchewan as this system begins to move northward. And again, I think we'll see that smoke mostly moving into eastern sections of the Churchill region. And keep in mind, as the rain moves away, we'll start to see maybe some of those fires flare up again. So smoke could become a concern mostly for the north. And then we're watching for our next system moving in, as I mentioned. And with that, the jet stream taking a real big dip. That's going to bring some cooler temperatures too. But until then, the weekend looking very nice for Regina, with temperatures even into the mid, maybe even upper 20s in the southeast corner before that more unsettled weather begins to move in. Saskatoon, a little bit breezy here and there tomorrow, and then full sunshine for your Sunday, low 20s generally for next week. First frost of the year usually happens around this time, Sam, on average, but not in this forecast.
I like it. Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
Well, this is a note for me, but just in time for Friday the 13th, the London Dungeon has opened up its collection to celebrate its 50th anniversary. So the public's being invited to view the many spooky, weird, and wonderful objects in its archives. The collection features a Victorian dentistry kit, complete with some barbaric-looking tools and supplies, and you can't miss the haunted doll in the pram who rocks herself to sleep. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. A gathering has been held all week in Fort Qu'Appelle to mark the 150th anniversary of Treaty 4. So we set out to ask people about the Canadian treaties and the meaning behind them today.
Who are treaty people?
Me? They're free?
I don't know. I'm confused right now.
Us.
Who's us?
Pretty sure natives.
Natives?
Indigenous people, Shelley Bear.
They're people of this land, all over Canada.
The indigenous people of the land.
We are all treaty people.
Treaty people are everybody in Canada. You know, it's the whole country in Canada. You're dealing with treaties every day, everything you do, it's everybody.
Everyone's treaty people. Why? Because the indigenous people that inhabit this land, when I would call them the newcomers came, we offered to share. And today we still offer to share. It's not a material thing. Everyone that became the newcomers are benefiting from that, benefiting from the resources, benefiting from the use of the lands, benefiting from where they live. But sadly, our mindset has strayed to more materialistic and greed rather than working together to living as one people and looking after Mother Earth.
What do treaties mean to you in 2024?
I don't know, really.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Friendship.
A lot. Well, hopefully that we're going to do better and we live up to the treaties that were promised many years ago.
Treaties is like a step in towards reconciliation.
It's an agreement between the First Nations people and the Canadian government.
I think
there's
still things that we need to fulfill and give back to the people for what we've done with the residential schools. Like, this is a start, but more people need to come out and recognize what has happened.
There's definitely still problems that need to be solved within the treatment of Native people within the system and the society. There's a lot of treaties off that aren't being upheld.
Well, I just think that we still have a long ways to go. I think that there are good steps taken, but I think that first we need to learn and we need to heal, and then we'll be on the path to true reconciliation. I want a good place where I don't have to fear for my babies, right? I want them to grow up in a place where they feel equitable.
And Ethan's back with one last look at your weather.
And in Regina tonight, we might see the clouds clear away a little bit. We'll still be a little bit breezy, though. Winds from the southwest upwards of 40 kilometers an hour. By tomorrow morning, though, those clouds almost all gone, mostly sunny morning, and you'll notice those winds a little bit lighter as well. They'll pick up a little bit into the afternoon, not quite as strong as today, though, thankfully, and a little bit of cloud cover moving in, but that's nice and seasonal at 21 degrees. Mostly cloudy as well in Saskatoon tonight. By tomorrow morning, we're looking at mostly sunny skies as well, and I think it should stay that way as we head into the afternoon. Maybe a few more clouds here and there, but 19 degrees with those nice sunny conditions, and the winds should be fairly light on what is shaping up to be a fairly nice weekend for pretty much all of us, Sam.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
And before we go, Saskatoon has what many consider to be the best senior hockey league in Canada, and the man who helped form it got a special honor this week. Our Kelly Provost was there.
When Stan Halliwell showed up for his usual weekly game, he had no idea what was in store for him. At 90 years old, he still plays hockey twice a week in a league he helped create with his friend Reg Morrison.
Yeah, so we were playing in the 50-plus league, and then we're both just turning 60 or getting close to it. And if you're, well, it's getting a little, the league's getting a little faster. And then, too, there at the 50-plus, we're playing in the evenings. Sundays and late at night, so the ice was available in the mornings. Our guys are all retired. Let's play hockey during the day, and this grew from that.
And for that, he was honored in a surprise ceremony. The 60-plus league has grown to 350 members with a waiting list. It even has a dedicated dressing room.
I'll tell you what, this league is the envy of any league in Canada. There's nobody else who's got this many players playing at 60 to 90. In a dressing room with 213 stalls. Nobody's got it, I guarantee you. It's unique, and it's fun, it's safe. The guys are enjoying themselves. A lot of laughter, a lot of camaraderie. It's everything they'd ever want.
Hundreds of guests, including Halliwell's wife Laurette, helped with the surprise. They marked his 90th birthday.
Hey.
And the dedication of a part of the league's dressing room in his honor. He was caught off guard.
I gradually caught on that was something special, but nothing like this. No, this is tremendous.
There were also tours of the league's dressing room, now part museum, with a plaque recognizing deceased former players.
It's therapy. There's a lot of the guys in this league, that have lost their wives and everything, and they need the out. And this is a great place to come and visit the guys and share stories and have a good time. And so it's more than a hockey league. It's way more than a hockey league.
Halliwell has played about 1,800 games since he turned 60 and feels well enough to play for at least a few more years. Kelly Provost, CBC News, Saskatoon.
An inspiration to all of us. That is it for us this week. For news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/sask, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or download the CBC News app. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great weekend.